We are back for another edition of Mental Health Marvels. What? No, we're not. It's the ASKKEV series. What am I talking about? It's the ASKKEV series dropping every Thursday and Saturday for you about what you're going through in your mental brain. Brian? Who's Brian? In your mental brain, mind, and behavioral well-being. We are trying to answer all of your questions across social medias. We've got a lot of questions to answer. You wrote them in. We are knocking them out one question at a time. This next series of questions comes from the Ngunnawal people of Canberra, Australia. Shout out Canberra, Australia. I was there virtually, was supposed to be there physically. It didn't work out. Thank you, airlines. Planes and their ability to make me angry. Nothing I can do about it, though. We couldn't get there. But we got in via Skype, and we shared our message. As a matter of fact, I gave my first acknowledgement to country, and I was told I would make Joe Williams proud. Thank you very much for that beautiful compliment. I greatly appreciate it. Joe Williams, as you know, is an Aboriginal young man who was a champion boxer, champion NRL player, was a champion boxer and NRL player in Australia, quite a bit of an athlete, and he now resides in Australia and helps his people, which is our people. The indigenous communities of Australia and around the world are going through a great deal of turmoil right now with their brain, mind, and behavioral well-being, and as it relates to dying by their hands. So we are trying to help them understand why and what are solutions to help better their communities and stop the deaths. So not just the deaths, but also let's talk about substance use disorder amongst our indigenous peoples as well. Ngunnawal people, you graciously allowed me into your country via digitally. Via digitally? That's that thing? This is a very serious topic. Aboriginals and indigenous peoples across the globe were colonized, raped, pillaged, plundered by Europeans. Their lands were stolen. Their people were stolen. Their children were stolen. And in Australia, it was some of the worst we've ever seen in history, and some of the race relations in Australia are intolerable and deplorable. And the hate that exists from some Caucasians to Aboriginals across Australia, and the hate we see here in America bubbling over with the crisis we're in right now, in a place where in America, our high schools are more segregated than they were in the 1960s. Did you hear what I just said? Our high schools in America are more segregated than they were in the 1960s, the height of the civil rights era. And in Australia, more Aboriginal individual males are being imprisoned than any other population of males. In America, same goes for blacks. I'm part black, I'm part Arawak Indian, I'm part a lot of things. And so I take great offense to that, and it deeply makes me sad. But here's what I know. I've been given a series of questions by the Ngunnawal people who were at my presentation that I did via Skype. And these are the questions they put in to ask to me to answer to you today, right here, right now on the AskKEV series. Kevin, you talked about deep emotional pain. What are the roots of the pain? What are the roots of its healing? This is a great, and I think you have to say wise question. The root of my pain comes from the severe trauma of my infancy. Several things happened to me as an infant that were devastating to me mentally, emotionally, and physically. One of the things that happened to me, my birth parents, after they had me, were on drugs and would eventually basically die of mental illness in a sense, but die of drugs. I was taken away from them, ripped from their arms, so physically taken from the people that care for you is something that even an infant's mind cannot comprehend, being taken from the arms of those who love them. The growing mind of a child. The first 3 to 9 months of an infant's life are the most crucial for their ability to connect, adapt, attach, and be well in any future. And if the first 3 to 9 months of your life are fraught with nothing but consistent trauma, my friends, at some point something's got to give and you're going to have a hard time. Not to mention, I was taken away from my birth parents, and then they came to foster care at one point and kidnapped me and my brother, and we were on the run for 4 weeks, which alone, after restabilizing in foster care, was again traumatizing. I've been told by adults in quite a callous way, and I've mentioned this in my speeches. Kevin, why does that matter? You were an infant. How did that affect you? Didn't you hear me before? 3 to 9 months are the root place for infants to develop a unfettered and unbroken mind. But they have to be treated well, loved unconditionally. They have to be in good housing conditions, good living conditions. They have to be fed proper nutrition to feed their brains, their minds, so they can grow. I was fed Kool-Aid, Coca-Cola, and sour milk as my first 9 months diet. I had a bruise from the top of my sternum to the bottom of my abdomen from being malnourished. From here to here, there was that bruise, and a distended belly filled with liquid. My stomach lining was nil, non-existent. My abdominal wall was, very, very thin and disheveled. And so that's the root of my problems, is a great deal of infant trauma. Although I was adopted by a beautiful family, given a beautiful life, at 17 and a half, it all came crashing down. And I broke. I had a mental breakdown that was so vicious and so unrelenting and so powerful. My first experience was with extreme paranoid delusion, then psychosis, then paranoia, then mania, then hallucinations, auditory and visual. We talked about this before, but everything unraveled. My family fell apart. My mom and dad got divorced after 25 years of what I thought was blissful marriage. I didn't see it coming. And all these things were re-traumatizing. I try to deny the effect it had on me, but it had a palpable effect on my growth in my life. I was under the age of 21 at the time. I was a developing brain, developing mind still, and at 19 I broke so deeply that you know what I did. You're on the channel. You know what happened to me. And I'm grateful that I get to be here. So the root of that problem was infant trauma, childhood trauma, and the road to healing came when I recognized that this brain pain was real, that I could fight it with treatment, that I could work tirelessly for my better brain health, and that I could find steps, tools, and tricks and strategic ways to keep safe mentally when my brain was unraveling at its core. Listen, everybody in the world goes through hard times. We all develop issues that we have to deal with. We've all been through pain. Not all of us have been through severe trauma. I hope many of you have not. For those of you that have, the road to healing starts with getting to the root of your problems, being honest about it, so you can find a way to let go of your shame and guilt, let go of your fears and your timidness of what you've dealt with. Be honest about it to someone who loves you and cares for you, who empathizes with your cause. Tell your truth. A pain shared is a pain halved. And when you can do all of that, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself not those negative inner critical thoughts that destroy us, but positive affirmations that explain how beautiful you are, how valued you are, how much you matter, how much you are pertinent to this world and everybody in it, and how positive your life can become. Everything can change. If you sit in the negativity of your pain, if you let it eat you alive without fighting it, it'll do just that. It'll destroy you. As I always say, don't let your pain defeat you. Let it build you from the ground up, one brick by brick at a time. Build that foundation of a better life. There have been plenty of people who've gone through extreme trauma, come out on the other side, and won the game of life. It is about attitude, gratitude, and the will to find a way toward resilience in the face of pain. You tell your story, I'll tell mine. Together, let's help each other be here tomorrow and every day after that. To our Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander people, and Ngunnawal people all across Australia, to our Indigenous people all around the world, one thing I have to say is you've been through hell, but you're still standing. We love you so much. We are with you, our brothers and sisters. Keep up the good fight, but do it justly, civilly, kindly, and help our brothers and sisters reduce the rates of recidivism to prisons and prison systems, and reduce the rates of severe alcoholism and liver cirrhosis and failure. Let's get into real recovery. Let's be honest about our pain so we can survive. We were the first people on this planet. You were. We need to stay. Thanks for the question, guys. Really appreciate it. This was a heartfelt one coming from you. The Ask Kev series, about our indigenous folks around the world. And a big shout out to our main man, Joe Williams, who's in America right now touring on his book tour. Shout out, Joe. Good luck with your book tour. It's going to be amazing. That book is called The Enemy Within. If you haven't gotten it, it's one heck of a read. I watched the man write it himself. He writes like a banshee. He writes so fast I couldn't even see straight as he was writing on his computer every single day in the back of the car. Our computer he was using as he did a tour here in the States with us a few years back. Joe, we love you. Love the work you're doing in public service. Thank you for all your time and effort, and thank you for keeping the good fight in Australia. Let's all be kind to each other. Let's all be compassionate. Let's all recognize we don't know where we come from, but our behaviors aren't predicated upon being born with hate. They come from the people who came before us. Let's release the hate and only give out love. This world will finally change. Be kind to everybody. That's the name of the game. Thanks, Debbie Hines, for instilling that in me. Being kind and loving to everybody, no matter their behavior toward you. Bye, guys. Be well. That's ASKKEV for the day. This is my Miss America wave. I'll see you later. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves. And I love you.